So feel free to acknowledge that recording on your end. And I will officially go ahead and start our program today. Welcome. I give you greetings on behalf of the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center here at San Jose State University. Super excited, intimately known as the BLOC on campus. So if you're around and you know a little bit about us, we do go by the BLOC as well. Again, this event is in partnership and collaboration with the Career Center's second annual Diversity Career Fair Week. So we're super, just again, excited to be bringing Black voices, Black experiences, Black alumni voices and experiences to the virtual space. And again, for our students and our Black Spartan community to really hear the testimonies and kind of the journeys, the career journeys of some of our former students. So I'm gonna go ahead without further ado to allow this esteemed panel of Black alumni, Black and beautiful people to introduce themselves and to welcome you all. And just to acknowledge, of course, that we have already enabled the live transcript feature for those of you that might need it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm super excited. These are my friends, my homies, my peers, folks that I have had the company and pleasure of being in community with, learning from, and serving with. And so I want to welcome them to the virtual building. Hello, hello, Black people. And I'm just gonna welcome y'all to introduce yourself. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna place all the questions here in the chat so that you know what we're asking. And greetings to all of you. My name is Emerald Green, she, her pronouns. I'm serving as the program director here at the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center. And I'm joined in partnership with my Chandra Watkins, our program coordinator. Both of us are Black Spartan alum. And again, we're excited to have y'all join us. So come off mute and please share your name, your pronouns if you prefer, what degree you graduated with San Jose State from, and what you're currently engaged in terms of your work and your industry. So I'm going to start with the beautiful Ashley Martin. Hello, Thor, greetings.
Hello, so my name is Ashley Martin. My pronouns are she, her. I'm gonna give my age away, but I graduated first in 2010 with a major in liberal studies, and then I went back for my teaching credential. And then in 2016, I went back again for my master's and then another credential. So I officially graduated finally in 2018. And I'm teaching right now, 5th grade in the Mount Pleasant Elementary School District.
Awesome, welcome. She said she's credentialed, okay? Credentialed, plural. Hello, Dejan Thompson, what's up? Welcome.
Hey, I'm Dejan Thompson. And when I was at San Jose State, I got my degree in justice studies, minor is political science, and I graduated in 2012. Nowadays, I am working at Facebook, Meta, the parent company, I guess, whatever they want to call it. And I work in the capacity with people operations, program management. So that's it. And I'm not going back for any degrees. This is it.
Thanks, Dejan. Hello, Alex, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? Hi, everyone. My name is Alexander Matthews, and call me Alex. I graduated in 2017 from San Jose State with a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Design. And I went to grad school in London with a Master's in Intelligent Mobility. I'm currently working for General Motors as a creative designer. So I get a chance to work on a lot of the concept cars. And that includes like interior, exterior, and user experience design. And my pronouns are he and him. Excited to be here.
Thanks, Alice. Last but not least, Emeka. Hello, brother. What's up?
What's up, Emerald? Great event. Thanks for putting it together. What's up, y'all? My name is Emeka. I graduated San Jose State 2011 with a degree in business admin, emphasis in finance, and now working in business development at Google within Google Labs. And pronouns, you can just call me him.
He's that guy. Appreciate it. Let's get into these questions, y'all. So the first one I have is really about your career exploration, starting back from your major, right? So you came to San Jose State in pursuit of a bachelor's, some of you in multiple degree attainment. So talk about a little bit while you were here as a student, right? How did you go about figuring out how to get a major, how to decide what major or minor would be, you know, your career choice, something that would allow you to really figure out what to do next, right? And what guidance or support did you use human resource wise or just on campus resource, anything you want to share. This is an open question for anyone to respond to.
I can go. So I knew before I went to San Jose State what I wanted to study. However, like in education in general, there's different avenues you can take. So within my first semester, I think within the first month, I remember talking to a guidance counselor to kind of figure out what would be best for me. But even then, if you ever talk to a counselor, they're awesome, but they may not know you personally. So it's always great to talk to other students and professors, because they can kind of guide you into which direction you want to go. So that's how I ultimately decided liberal studies rather than like child and adolescent development.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I learned the game pretty early from some of my frat brothers, friends, all of them, right? I figured like I was in too deep to change it. And I realized that I didn't want to stay too long because I don't know what everyone else's goal for college was. Mine was to get out of Oakland, number one. And number two, when I got here, I wanted to graduate and make money. So I felt if I would have changed it to what my passion was, it would have delayed that. So I just stuck with justice studies, and I realized that what you get your degree in for me didn't matter. So I just needed that BS by my name, Bachelor of Science, that is.
Yeah, similar to Ashley, I had an idea of what I wanted to do going into undergrad. I was really excited about opportunities in automotive design, but knew the step before that was industrial design. But to your point too, Ashley, I was thinking about how I can have a plan catered toward what I was most interested in. And so I did talk to guidance counselors, but didn't necessarily find the path that I was most interested in. So I didn't stop there. I continued to connect with others who might have more insight to the journey that I was kind of looking to take. And so I think that's one of the takeaways for me, was to not just stop with one opinion, to get several sources of input to help you make the best well-rounded decision. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
And I knew I wanted to be in business. My goal was to start a business of my own. I've had a bunch of small businesses and side hustles along the way. So I also knew I wanted to be in tech because I was inspired in high school by the stories of Bill Gates and Larry Page, who were the founders of Google, how they went to school, came up with their ideas, which is the businesses that we have today, and then dropped out. So my goal actually was to go to college, come up with an idea, and drop out. But then unfortunately graduated, which means that none of my ideas took off. So I majored in business. It was financial accounting with the minor in comp sci, computer science. I did a lot of partying, so by the time I got to senior year, I hadn't taken any computer science classes, and similar to Dejan, I wanted to not spend any longer there. So I ended up dropping that minor and keeping my business focused, and then had a couple of internships along the way, and networked my way into my first tech job, and then kind of ended up where I'm at now.
Thank y'all for the perspective. And there's some variety in the room, right? Some of y'all was like, hey, I had to get out quickly, and it almost didn't matter what I was doing as long as I got those credentials, right, behind my name. For other folks, it's like, I was thoughtful. I knew what I wanted, and I might have sought some guidance, whether it was some friends, some community resources, right, organization support, or guidance counselor. And for our students, we know that just going to school may not be the most impactful. To build that social capital, right? To build the experiences that will lead to career attainment. And so I kind of want to hear from you all, what was some of your involvement journey? I think that is a piece of the, that our students are still in exploration of, right? And then maybe how those experiences, involvement-wise, might have had an impact on like your ability to be career ready, to be successful, to maybe be networking really early on. So talk a little bit about those experiences.
I can start this one off. I think being involved at San Jose State definitely made a big impact on my career in general. and even trajectory. I remember back to, so I'm a Kappa Alpha Psi, fraternity incorporated. I was at my cousin's wedding in DC, I think might have been sophomore year, and was seated at a table with a woman who worked at the IRS. And we got to talking. I told her I was a Kappa. She was much older than me. I told her I was a Kappa. You know, she got to reminiscing about her college days, and you know, we were chit-chatting at the table at the wedding. Ended up being that she was, you know, kind of a big wig at the IRS, and she made a comment saying, "Hey, you know, I wish I met you a couple months earlier." This was like late, maybe start of the summer, midsummer. She said, "I wish I met you earlier because we just wrapped up our interviewing for our internship program." And then she said, "You know what? Send me your resume anyway." And so I sent it to her when I got home, I think the next morning. And she ended up, you know, doing her thing and got me an internship at the IRS. And then just being on campus, just throwing events, participating in events. I think just having, you know, as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and you know, there's some of my D9 brothers and sisters on this call also. You know, we did a lot of events and stuff like that, which kind of instills a go-getter and self-starter mentality, which is very valued in the business community and just, you know, in general, in the world of employment full-time, because, you know, there's a lot of times where you'll see opportunities or won't be told what to do, and it's kind of like the onus is on you in order to do something, whether you have an idea to improve your business or company, you want to pitch something new, like whatever the case is. Having like doing that stuff now in this playground that we call college, where you're kind of safe as students, you know, you have the freedom to try new things, to mess up, people are willing to help you. So kind of like doing all of that, I think definitely impacted me and the trajectory that I went on.
I can go. So I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So also part of the D9. And I think, as Emeka mentioned, us throwing programs helped a lot. I was typically a shy person. And so when you're in those organizations, they make you step out. So you have to be that leader and be able to step out and take control of things. And then also networking. So between church and the sorority and just volunteering in different places is how I actually got both of the teaching positions that I've had. So it was other people in the D9 that actually put me onto my first teaching job, because I was looking for a job, and they were like, "Hey, we got something that's opening up the next day. Do you want to join?" And then also just kind of putting it out there, like, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be this. And so just talking to people usually will get you out there. Like I was able to talk to superintendents that you don't normally get to talk to as a teacher, but they opened those doors for me. So that was really big, but networking for sure. And then just letting people know what you're looking for, because there's usually someone that can connect you with someone else. And people are still making those connections today. There's about 3 people that are telling me to leave this job and go into another field of education because they know other people in those fields. So definitely put yourself out there, and networking is key.
Cool. All right. Yeah, my involvement was all over the place as well. I'm a member of the Epsilon Mu chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha at San Jose State. I was the vice president of BSU. I was in BASE, NSBE, NSA, Nigerian Student Association. And I will say maybe my experience had the biggest impact on me. It probably would be BASE. I mean, saying Alpha would be very easy to say, but I'll probably say BASE NSBE, because it helped me get outside of my world. Like I was this little kid from Oakland, came to San Jose State, had no idea I was going to such a dope school. Like, you're in the backyard of these companies. And I don't want to say whatever I say is the gospel. This is just my story and like how I view stuff, because I was very focused on getting a job. So I was like, man, I came to San Jose State, like, I forgot the percentage, but it was high. Like, this many percentage of people work at Apple from San Jose State. And like, we're talking about a little CSU down the street, right? We're not talking about University of Pennsylvania or Ohio State, like San Jose State, just because we're in the backyard, these startups. And like, man, when I went to BASE, I went from being this kid from Oakland, majoring in justice studies, to going to a conference and meeting electrical engineers, and that just inspired me. And I would probably say Nesby base had the biggest impact on me. Squeaky.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think so. For me, I was also greatly involved with a lot of organizations on campus. I lived in the residence halls, so got my start with hall government and then Residence Hall Association, where I was president for 1 year, and then went on to being an orientation leader, and then also a team lead, and then had a chance to serve as, I think I mentioned, as an RA, and then also had a chance to travel with NRHH, as the National Residence Hall Honor Society, where we basically represented the residence halls on different conferences across the US. So through those organizations, had a chance to network, to your point, Ashley, and also Dijon and Amika. That was a huge opportunity just to not only get involved, but also to be a part of the community and give back to the community. I think you mentioned this too, Dijon, is like this idea and the rewarding aspect of giving back to the community that's helped make me who I am today. So that was one part of it. And then another thing is like this quote of connecting the dots, not being able to connect the dots looking forward, but being able to have everything line up looking in retrospect. And the key point for that is, I guess, as far as networking today and like in your present experience, you never know who you're gonna cross paths with again in the future. And so like for me, there are people that I networked at San Jose State that are part of my professional development from state to where I am now. And so I always take an opportunity to try and make as many points on the map as possible, because there's no telling like when I'll be able to connect those again in the future. And as far as like my most impactful experience at San Jose State, I think it would be being an orientation leader. Just because the massive students you get to be surrounded with in their energy and their excitement and their fresh perspective on education, on life, and it's just so cool because I come from a smaller hometown in San Diego, California, and so being in San Jose was just I was loving it. Like I was not in a rush to graduate, to be honest. I mean, I started in 2011. And finished my studies in 2017 with some study abroad in between. But I'd say that was most impactful for those reasons of the students, and then also just learning a lot and being humbled by like each interaction. So I've talked a lot. I think we could probably end on that point there. Thanks.
No, I love it. I mean, y'all are giving such a broad and variable like experiences that it's just tells you how much Black students need to be represented on campus, and despite what they choose to be involved in, right? That the things that you get in terms of networking, social capital, your ability to serve, your ability to see yourself outside of who you were, right? And your freshman self is important. And I heard this kind of connection of like, I didn't know who I was gonna meet and who I was gonna meet along the way that was gonna drive who I might become. And so I hear the sentiment of like, you don't know who you don't know. Right? And it's not just about who you know, but who might know you. And what I really want to have y'all explore with us is, you know, this kind of concept of being Black in the industry, right? And being authentic. So let's go on this journey of having you all really start to give us some advice for our students who are interested in breaking into your industry, right? And industry can mean a lot of different things. So I'm thinking about maybe not only where you were, maybe 5-10 years ago, but maybe where you are. What advice might you give to folks, and really leaning into that authentic self, right? How have you done that? What advice might you give?
Trying to break into the industry and remaining authentic to yourself is it's a battle, especially as you're trying to break in. You know, I'm gonna be upfront. It doesn't have to be super hard though. And so in terms of trying to break in, I would say equip yourself with as much knowledge, information, networking people as you can as you're making your journey, because that's only going to help you. You want to make sure that, you know, it's hard enough for us to get a seat at the table, but you want to make sure that when you finally get that seat, you're prepared and you're supposed to be there. So that's first and foremost, is just, study up and network, right? Because you want to come fully informed, and the more people you know, and the better things they have to say about you, it's all going to work in your favor. And I think that goes across any industry that you might want to be breaking into, whether it's tech or academia or the auto industry or whatever it is. And then in regards to being authentic to yourself, you always want to be prim and proper when you're interviewing, right? As you're trying to get in the door. But then once you get in the door, that's your chance to start peeling back the layers and becoming more of you. And it's not easy. It's something that I'm still working on myself. I'm thoughtfully trying to blend my two or more personas, as we talk about the code switch. And so that involves things like purposely saying y'all in meetings or in emails, right? Saying some of the things that I might say around friends, but in the workplace, as Google is very big on bringing your full self to work. And so, I like to test that, right? And so that's advice that I would give, in terms of being authentic to you, just understanding who you is, one, and then understanding the value that you have to offer, believing that you're there for a reason, and then letting your true self shine.
Yeah. You want to go, John?
No, it's on you.
All right. Yeah. Just, I guess, tilling on that topic of believing in yourself to who you are in the workplace. I think one of the things that I was challenged with initially entering was that imposter syndrome, because there's a lot of talented individuals that you'll cross in your education and then also in the workplace. So having that confidence and not cowering under pressure, I think it's important as far as being your authentic self, believing in yourself through and through, even once you get in. And you might think once you get that job, you're like set in stone and confidence. But I'll tell you, at least from my personal experience and what I experienced, it's a journey for me too, because it is still surreal to be in the automotive industry. In my studio, I'm one of two Black designers in the advanced space, one of which is our design director. So in that moment, I think it's really humbling to be in this space, but also can be easy to lose your authentic self for that effort of kind of like climbing the corporate ladder. But I think the beauty of it is retaining your true self. You can not only show others it's possible for them to be their authentic selves in this space, but then at the end you don't feel like a sellout. So to your point, Amika, I'm still kind of like working through that process of like bringing the two personas, if you will, together. But I would say my advice would be to hold on to that confidence, no matter which room you're in.
Yeah, I mean, the only advice I would say for folks, students trying to break into the industry, is to just be open to getting the job that you may not want for the job that you're going to love. There's so many like stepping stones you're going to take. Like I think about to my first job out of college. I think my first big boy job was like 2013, and it was okay. But looking back at it, like everything I got from there is applying to like right now. Like it's going to be the same, So just being open to that, and not like when it comes to remaining authentic, definitely bring yourself to your workplace. That's the only way we're going to increase diversity. That D word is thrown around a lot nowadays, right? And to me, diversity is only as diverse as it is for the diverse population, right? So like when I see a company, they reach out to me, I look at their careers page, and I see 10 white men, 4 white women, 2 or 3 Latinx folks, 1 Black person. I'm like, and to them that's diverse, but it's diverse to me, right? So if I were to go there, then it's important for me to bring my authentic self, right? Because I'm breaking down barriers for folks that are going to come after me. So it's important for them to know what I did over the weekend just as much as it is for me to hear them, right? So you got to bring your authentic self. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. You are who you are. Obviously professional, right? But like, don't be afraid to be you. Take up space, as they say. Chair squeaky.
Just to add on what the others said, I think figuring out who you are, I think I thought I knew when I was in college or even when I first graduated. But even now I'm still learning things about like who I am and what I value. And so I take that into the workspace, right? So when I'm walking in every morning, I have to remember my why, because no matter where you're working, there's going to be things that suck you into the politics of it, to the drama of it all. And so I have to keep remembering my why and then bring that to me whenever I come in. What's helped me is having like a mentor or a friend that I work with. So as I start peeling those layers, as people mentioned, finding people that are connecting with me. I've been fortunate enough to have other Black women in my field that either work with me in the same school site or in the same district. So we're able to connect. But that's very odd. That doesn't normally happen. So finding something that you can connect with other people and then leaning on them. I think especially starting off right after college, it could be hard. And so having those people that you can kind of lean on when you need to, I think helps a lot. And then taking on those leadership roles, it took me a while to finally take on those leadership roles at my job. But once you do, I think you're breaking barriers not only for yourself, but for future people coming into that field.
I love the variety in responses, because I know all of you personally, right? But it really gives me insight to things that you've had to be okay with along the way. Very different from, I think, our parents or Gen Xers, right? Boomers, folks in that kind of generational stage. And being a millennial or a Gen Z in the workplace is quite different, right? From whatever was before. I think we're just experiencing everything at a larger magnitude than some of our elders. And so, knowing that you're talking about mentorship, that you're talking about, getting your first job and being okay, and knowing that's not your end goal, right? That's not your forever role. But also working through that imposter syndrome and knowing that you just got to know your values and who you are up front, right? So that you're not shaken throughout the process, right? Because our corporate space as well is important. And so I see students and I see them taking notes or just taking these gems. Thanks for those of you that are on camera so we can see you. And I kind of want to go into this thought about what this new normal has provided us across industry, right? And you all are representing different industries. So can you talk a little bit about how the pandemic or the endemic has affected your work style? And then maybe what's some advice for students join the workforce now? We're still in an endemic, monkeypox is out here, polio and some other stuff, right? We got voter season coming up, right? Like how should they be engaging as they are seeking employment and seeking to get into the industry?
Cool. I really I was used to working from home like once or twice a week, but just like with this whole being able to work remote stuff, it's important to not burn out, because back in the day, right, you had to wake up, take your shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, commute to work, and then you started, right? But now it's just roll out of bed and do some work, right? So you can look up and it's 2:00 now, you haven't eaten lunch, right? And that it could be challenging to turn work off. So that's one way to affect things have affected my lifestyle, my work style. I mean, and how did I manage? So I think this might be challenging for people of color, Black people in particular, right nowadays, because when we were in the office, we had to participate in the cooler talk, they call it, right? Or when you drink your coffee and everyone's like, "Oh, what'd you do this weekend?" Or, "I was skiing," and all this other stuff, right? You kind of miss out on that when you're remote, and you have to like find community. You have to find ways to do things. You have to like sometimes, and this goes back to imposter syndrome, or goes back to just feeling certain type of way. You're double checking how you're typing things because you want to come off as that aggressive black guy or whatever, right? So adjusting to that new normal, and then you're trying to like make sure your name is thrown around for promotions. You want to be in the room when opportunity is there. So it's all about balancing all that, keeping true to yourself, and really self-care, because you can burn out with just rolling out of bed and starting work, as opposed to when you used to start at 9:40. Now you're starting at 7. I used to leave the office at 3, but now I'm looking up. I leave at 3, hit that shuttle, take the shuttle back home, and turn off work, right? But now I'm looking up at 6 o'clock. Like, man, you didn't work from 7:40 a.m. to 6 o'clock. This ain't you. Like, chill. You ain't getting paid for this. Yeah, so it's all about balance.
I can go. So I agree. The balance and boundaries, I think, is something I'm still working on, but it's key. You typically sign some form of a contract when you start in the field, so you need to know what that is. And if they're having you do more, then you ask for compensation. And that took me forever to ask, but I know they're compensating other people for the same work. So I need to be paid as well. So setting boundaries on what you're willing to do and what not to do. And it could be little things like I no longer have my school email on my phone, or I turn it off at certain times, or making sure that I'm only contacted within certain hours of the day. I think too, I'm a big component or a big advocate for therapy. I think whatever field you're going into, it is essential to talk to someone else, just because there's a lot going on in the world. So not only do I push it for myself, but people around me and my students. About half my class is seeing a therapist right now, because it's key. You got to be able to talk to somebody else. There's things going on. So boundaries again, and possibly seeking some outside help would be great.
So I think with the work from home flexibility, it's allowed for me to take on additional roles outside that I also have a passion for. So as a creative, I have different outlets, whether it's with vehicle design, product design, or architecture. And so for me, I've been able to have the flexibility to not be defined by what my job title is for GM, but what I see myself doing and adding value to this world through those different avenues. So I think that's one way that my work style has changed. But with that, of course, comes that healthy balance, because to your point, Dejan, you don't want to be engulfed in work, sun up to sundown. There's other things to life that, without the company, like, who am I as an individual? So I would say that's something that has changed with my work style, just because of the ability to kind of set my own hours. And then let's see, how did I manage it, and what advice would I give joining the workforce in the continued new normal? I guess I wouldn't have anything else that wouldn't be echoing what's already been said. So I'll hand it over to Anika.
Hey, y'all. It's Emeka, by the way.
I'm sorry, Emeka. Sorry about that.
So I think that the pandemic changed. Oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I think just kind of like echo what everyone else said. All great advice. Google is a flexible, like, working environment, and so we're in the office about 2 to 3 days a week, which was kind of more or less what I was on pre-pandemic, probably closer to 3 to 4. But I think the pandemic or post-pandemic environment could be increased flexibility or decreased, depending on how you look at it. And I've always been a big advocate of owning your time and calendar, and that was even pre-pandemic. So yeah, I would say just be mindful of your own time. Time is valuable. It's one resource that everybody shares and none of us can get back. So definitely be mindful of that, and try to own your time and safeguard your mental state.
I recognize that, y'all are dropping gems, and to hear Black people talk about self-care and mental health is big, right? So I just want to affirm that I'm so excited that you as my peers and my colleagues in different ways in different industries, we're on the same page, right? But recognizing how now more than ever, whether you're working from home, whether you're going to the office, hybrid, high flex, that there's just some other ways to exist that we just need to tend to, right? And so part of what I think, Dejan, you mentioned a little bit, and Ashley in this like networking piece is important, because how do you go about that in a high flex, hybrid, working from home environment experience that many of us are having now? So my next question is really around like y'all sharing y'all gems, right? Like where are you meeting the people? What in relation to your industry, where are the spaces that you would recommend our students to be thinking about, right? Because to know not only how to get into the industry, I need to know where the people are, right? What associations, what conferences, should I be at church? Right? Like, where should I be? And maybe you drop in LinkedIn, or y'all on Discord, like tell the people where to go.
Yeah, Mecca said LinkedIn. That's definitely a huge spot. It's something about LinkedIn that's real easy to go viral on there. So you can like just put a post up and it will be shared a million times. But this is going to come as a shocker. Might be a curveball to some folks. But the first place is at school. You'll be surprised how many folks I see running around like, hey, I remember you. Aren't you an alpha? Or you used to do this, or we used to go to your house party, something, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you. You were in DU, or you were in this, or it's crazy. But yeah, first spot is San Jose State. And like so many people from San Jose State are at Google, right? It's probably still, right, Mecca? Because when I was there, I saw so many people from San Jose State. So like school, number one. Number two, like how I go about it, like you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know, like you just don't know what you don't know. So you always have to be curious, always have to be open up to something. I got my first gig at Google because a dude knew me, and that's one reason why I always try to give back. And if people ask me to refer to Facebook, I refer them. You know what I'm saying? If you get hired and you don't do well, it's not on me. I just referred you. Like I'm all about casting it, and hey, it's above me now. So yeah, networking, it starts at school, and then next, try to, LinkedIn, join groups on LinkedIn, so.
Yeah, gonna echo that. Definitely start at school. Join organizations, clubs. There's different, whatever your major is, there's probably an organization that's associated with it, right? And a lot of times the organizers of that organizations, the people in leadership, are doing events to connect students to the professionals in that industry. So that's going to be a big one. Like, Dejan mentioned Nesby and Base earlier. That's a huge one. The fact that Emerald put this event together, you have folks on this call, professionals from different industries and professions, so putting yourself out there from a school perspective, there's a lot of opportunities there, and there's a lot of people in the real world that are open and willing to help students. So also take that into account. Don't be afraid to reach out to folks that are already doing the things that you want to be doing in the future. Where are those people outside of school? LinkedIn is a big one, right? The same way folks network and follow each other, slide in DMs on Instagram for whatever reason. The same activity happens on LinkedIn, but it's for jobs and deals, right? So LinkedIn is definitely a place where you want to be. Either you're there posting content so you could be seen, or you are viewing content that's relevant to the industry that you want to break into. You're looking for people that are looking for people and connecting with people that are in the industries that you want to break into. You're reaching out to them, just saying, hey, I'm a student at San Jose State studying X, want to learn more about Y. You got like 15 minutes, right? And you'll be surprised the number of people that will say yes. And I think the first hurdle is getting out of your own way, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Definitely, yeah. And on that topic of LinkedIn, I guess to be the third one to talk about it, the idea of taking that chance to connect with someone who you don't know for sure would respond to you, it could be very fruitful. Again, back to that idea of like connecting the dots, looking backward. Someone that I connected with when I was networking for my first job in industry is now my design director within the company that I work for. But at the time, he was at a different OEM. So It's so crazy that that's kind of come full circle. So you never know who you might connect with in the future, as far as who you've connected with in the present. And then the other thing to that too, on the topic of throwing a curveball, there are events in school that you may kind of be questioning, like whether you should attend or not. Follow your gut, of course, but it's those chance interactions that you have at those events that you're less likely to go to that could change your entire trajectory. So as like an introvert, self-admitted introvert, I would say take the chance to go to those events that maybe you're on the fence about, because you never know what might come of it. So those would be my two major takeaways for networking.
I agree with what Alex mentioned. I know when I was at San Jose State and the department building I was normally in, there was always flyers for conferences or fairs and things. And I would always say, like, I'm too busy or I don't know anyone there. But I would say take advantage of those. You may get a business card or contact information that you can use in the future. And like Emerald mentioned, church or some type of like events or things that you're going to, again, simply telling them what you're studying goes a long way, because oftentimes someone knows someone in your field and can connect you with that person. So yeah, I would say, again, looking at those flyers that are around and attending those outside events or conferences. And then even if you get an email, like I still do this to this day, I think of like a Black group, like a Black teacher group. I find an email and then I reach out to them. I don't know these people, but they're about to know me. So simply just copying and pasting a general email may help get that conversation started.
I love it. I slid in a couple of y'all's DMs, so I know for a fact LinkedIn works, and I'm super excited that y'all mentioned that and referenced that, because it is popping. Like, I remember in 2013, it was not where it is now, but now you cannot literally exist as a professional without having some connection to a lot of these different modalities and apps like LinkedIn and other spaces, Discord, right? So that's where the work is happening. That's where, you got to be in the room where it happens, as people say. So I appreciate you all bringing that into context. We're almost at time today, but I want to leave y'all with this question, because I think it's important. As Black people, Black professionals, what's the best advice you've ever been given or ever have received, right? And you may have gotten it yesterday, you may have gotten it 10 years ago. Your mama and them might have been telling you this the moment you stepped on to campus at San Jose State, but tell the people, what's the best advice you've ever received?
All right, ready for this one? Oh, you got
No.
You got
Not
it.
ready. Not ready.
Okay, well, yeah. So Mama's from my first unofficial mentors, my first the big boy job I was talking about in 2013. And he just like made himself my mentor. And I appreciate him for it. He annoys me, he texts me all the time to this day. But he dropped it on me and it's helped me through so many promotions and just getting my foot in so many doors. He told me it was three P's to success: perception, politics, and performance, right? So if you perceive well in your politic, you don't even have to perform, because it's like, yeah. So it's just, that's just how I operate, right? I still perform, don't get me wrong, but I make sure I'm perceived well, and I'm always politicking. So, like I make the small talk. People know my name. People know what I'm doing. Yeah, performance.
I can go. I would say there was two, networking, as I've said a bunch of times, and knowing your worth. So knowing what you bring to whatever career or whatever it may be, because once you know that, then you're putting that out there for them to know and to value that as well.
I'm trying to convey the message that I got while being in a politically correct way, because we're recording, while also being true to the way it was delivered to me, because it was from a very high level person that I respect, and he was Black. Essentially, he was like, don't let these folks that oftentimes fall in the majority at work let you, like, allow you to not value what you bring to the table, because more times than not, like, you are the high performer. You know, that was like the gist of what he said, but you know, we were talking to each other, so it was stated very differently. Yeah, so and I think that all goes into the understanding the value that you have, what you can contribute, and you know, the constant fight against imposter syndrome. So one, you have to study up to make sure that you are informed, and then once you reach that level, be confident in that, and don't let anybody diminish your light.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have one moment that was most insightful, but one that comes to mind first was advice to carry my ideas into the room with confidence. I think I mentioned this in the first response, but to not feel the need to pull back my true thoughts, you know, in a professional sense, but to not kind of sugarcoat things because of like the code switching and not being able to kind of like step out of that one persona into your authentic self. But along those lines, to also not be afraid to occupy that space. So I think that would be the first thing that comes to mind. And there's been a lot of levels of advice through like different mentorships, but I think while you're on your journey, you'll find multiple things that kind of are insightful for that moment. So you might not have like the holy grail for your entire journey, but in each chapter, you'll be able to find. I'll speak for myself. I was able to find things that spoke true to me in that moment. So yeah, that's what I'll leave with.
I love the gems, right? Some are more heartfelt and colloquial than others. And I think that that's also unique to the way Black people experience the workplace, is we find cool ways to say things like politicking, right? We the only group that I know who do politicking and say it that way, and we know what we mean. We mean that we're using the politics of social capital, right? But I think to define it, and it might loosen what we mean, right? To say it in any other way. So I love that y'all are code switching, even in this space, and being true to yourself. And really, really, one, so proud of y'all as Black Spartans. And I wanted to say again, thank y'all for your time and sharing gems and keys to success for our students. It can be hard to break in to these industries and not knowing where to start, right? But I hope that our students are walking away feeling a little bit more, one, connected to you all, and that Black Spartan spirit, but then also to who they might become, and leaving room, right? Leaving room for y'all to figure it out along the way, because sometimes as Black people, we gotta know what the end game looks like, and not all the times you will know. And if you knew the plan, you might not go, right? And so allowing the journey to be what it is and how it needs to be along the way. So wanting to just say thank y'all, give y'all much love and gratitude. It's homecoming season, it's upon us. So I hope that y'all might join us and come be back on the yard. And I'm gonna ask our students just to give some love in the chat to our panelists, our esteemed folks today, for giving some time out of their busy schedules and family dynamics. Just again, give you some game. Y'all check that love. I know these are new Spartans. Some of you haven't met. Maybe you do know a couple folks in the virtual building, but nonetheless, they're giving you some love. And I'm also just going to throw our evaluation here as a part of the Diversity Career Fair Week. Students, please give us some feedback. Let me know who else you might want to see on the Black at Work panel and what other industries you're interested in. But y'all, the chat is speaking for itself, right? You're already helping some of our newest and continuing Spartans think about their career journey. So get y'all flowers now, okay? Thank y'all again, Dejan, Alex, Emeka, and Ashley. Peace and love to y'all. Hope to see y'all soon. Thank you. Take care, y'all.
Nice meeting y'all.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Nice to meet you.